Some people report the news, others interpret it, but there are those who transform it into truth. Ari Melba has redefined journalism with intellect, creativity, and courage. He blends culture and current events, politics and poetry, truth and transparency. And in doing so, he reminds us that storytelling is a sacred work. Ari understands that our narratives shape our nation, and he has used his platform to highlight issues that matter to the people, not just to the powerful. Tonight, we honor him for bridging art and activism, for using his voice to educate, inspire, and empower. Join me, please, in celebrating Ari Melba, recipient of the President's Award of Historic Transformative Leadership.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing? First of all, Babyface is 67 years old. We might need a fact check on that. What an honor to be up here with Rev and everyone else. When Rev started out, they said, he's just doing this to get on TV. Now he has a TV show. He kept along and they said, well, he's just setting himself up to run for office, be a politician. Now he has the politicians coming here to be accountable to you. We're celebrating his 71st birthday, God bless. I don't think he's planning to run for office in his late 70s or 80s, although people do that nowadays. I don't know if you've heard. So as far as I can tell, maybe he was doing it for the people. Maybe he was doing it for voting rights and human rights and being an advocate for people in communities where when bad things do happen, they don't have a local advocate or a federal advocate, or suddenly it doesn't feel like they have anyone who cares about what's happening to them. So it's funny, in the middle you can't always prove the case, but by this stage in his illustrious contributions to the United States, he's doing it for everyone. So shout out to Rev. I'm really honored to get this award. My grandmother was a refugee. My father's an immigrant. Like a lot of other people that I get to interact with, I'm very aware that my worst days are better than some of their best days. And so I keep that in mind, and I know Rev does and a lot of other people do. This award was called Leadership in the Arts. I'm honored by it. I love the arts. I won't say whether I've ascended to being a leader in the arts, but I will share with you the leaders I learned from. I learned civil rights from Sam Cooke. I learned about colonialism from Bob Marley. I learned about activism from Gil Scott-Heron. He said the revolution will not be televised. We're working on that. Rev and I are working on that. I learned about the media from KRS-One. I learned about politics from Public Enemy. I learned about police brutality from Tupac, and about feminism from Lauryn Hill. So when I was growing up, I did okay in school, but I was quickly learning as a teenager
October
that
the 8th,
all of these parts that weren't in the official story.
Do you know
but they were true.
what
So yes,
time
we try to reflect
it
some
is?
of that in our reporting.
It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, and to you that are joining us on live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Let us first say that today I dedicate the program to Reverend Jesse Jackson. Reverend Jackson is 84 years old today. I called him. He's not speaking that well, but he can listen, and I talked to him, gave him my love and birthday wishes, and glad that he is alive. He has health issues, but he's still with us and can hear the love and appreciation of so many of us. And I will never, ever stop calling his name. He has been a mentor of mine since I was 12 years old. I met him. And he and Reverend William Jones made me youth director of Operation Breadbasket New York chapter. And I literally grew up learning from him. Like anybody in a long relationship, we had tactical disagreements. I thought we should do this. As I got older, he thought we should do that. But we never broke up and stayed together in the last 25 years, lockstep together. And 59 years is a long time to be mentored by somebody. So he's been a great personal attribute. But on top of that, he's been a great addition to this country. The whole assignment that Dr. King gave him of dealing with the corporate world, and he would go out and make white corporations bank in black banks and contract with black entrepreneurs and buy ads in black periodicals because their consumers was there. All that was perfected by Reverend Jackson. And then, of course, his runs for president opened the lane that led to a black president and a black vice president. You got to remember that when Reverend Jackson ran in '84, the rules in the Democratic primaries was that if you got the majority of the vote in a certain state, you got all the delegates. So let's say they were 100 delegates and one person got 47, the other one got, what would be 33 or 53, I'm sorry. The one with 53 would get the whole 100 delegates. Reverend Jackson fought and changed the rules so the one with the 43 would get his 43 or her 43 delegates, and the other one would get theirs. And if you won in certain enough states, you could win even if you lost the big states. Well, guess what happened? That's how Barack Obama got the nomination, on the Jackson rules. These are concrete things that he did and has done for all of us. So I wanted to start the program by wishing him happy, happy, happy birthday. And for you that are continuing to pray for his health, continue to do that. Prayara Carrington is saying on our message page, happy birthday to Reverend Jesse Jackson, and God bless you with many, many more still to come. Also, happy birthday to gospel artist Mrs. C.C. Winans. Love married name of the famed Wiley family. All right, I didn't know it was her birthday. That's a good thing to know. Nadine Miller is saying happy belated birthday and many more, Reverend Sharpton. Thank you, Nadine. Reverend Jackson, I'm 5 days apart in birthday, 13 years apart in age. Rodney Jones, the mayor of Queensbridge Houses in Queens, New York, says, Rev, you always give honor to those who came before you. You never forget. Thank you for that. And I always will, because if you don't have a strong foundation, the building won't last. And part of my foundation was Bishop Washington and Reverend William Jones and Jesse Jackson and James Brown. And I tell everywhere I go because they spoke up for me everywhere they went. Well, a lot is happening we're going to talk about today. First time in recorded history since Watergate, we saw a FBI director printed and arraigned in federal court on an indictment. James Comey, former FBI director, pled not guilty in federal court in Virginia to one count of making false statement and one count of obstruction of congressional proceeding tied to a 2020 Senate hearing. Trial date has been set for January 5th, though his defense plans to file motions to dismiss, arguing that the indictment is vindictive and selective prosecution driven by the president's personal animosity toward Comey. And he's targeted. This is the same Virginia grand jury that said they couldn't find anything, same Virginia district, federal district that had a grand jury that couldn't find nothing wrong with Tish James. So they fired that prosecutor and got somebody else coming in, and they may go after her. Same one that the people handling the case couldn't find nothing against Comey. So much so he was fired or forced out. And they have this new attorney there, U.S. attorney in that district, that used to be one of the defense attorneys for Donald Trump. I mean, Trump's just blatantly, out loud, just setting the setups the way he wants. They couldn't even get line item prosecutors in Virginia to go and do the arraignment. They went and had to get assistant U.S. attorneys from North Carolina to come in and stand with her to do the arraignment this morning. This is how paper thin this is. It's all about vindictive. And this ain't gossip stuff, y'all. This is tearing at the very fabric of this country. If because the president wants somebody prosecuted, even though they're likely to be found not guilty, they're going to have to spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, defending themselves and taking that scar off their name. This is where we are under Trump. So let's talk about that today. He also said that the Illinois governor, J.B. Pritzker, and the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, should be in jail. That's a quote. Trump targets Illinois leaders, and he said on his Truth social media that Johnson, the mayor, and Pritzker, the governor, should be in jail for opposing his deployment of federalized National Guard troops to Chicago. So let me get this right. President say he wants to send National Guards into your state, into your city. You say you're opposed to it because they're not needed. And you should go to jail for that? Oh, that's right. We don't believe in free speech here. We don't believe in democracy here. It's do what I say, or we should lock you up. That's bad. Let me get even worse. The White House now looks for a loophole in the law that ensures that federal workers get paid after a shutdown. White House memo disputes back pay. A draft memo claims furloughed federal workers may not be guaranteed back pay after the shutdown. We're in the 5th or 6th day of the shutdown now. It's contradicting a 2019 law that mandates it. The White House argues that Congress must reauthorize payments once the funding is resumed. I mean, how low can you go? So they're going to work you, furlough you, and not automatically pay you when the shutdown is over. It is unbelievable, but it is. It is very believable, unfortunately. So we're going to talk about all of this and more. And I also want to talk to David Wright, who is the son of the gospel legend Reverend Timothy Wright, who was the godfather of gospel. I grew up with Timothy in Church of God in Christ, and they're honoring his father's legacy with a 30th year reunion. You need to hear about this We will come right back. And I'm going to open up the phones, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Shopton, keeping it real. Be right back.
1, 2, 3, I got the feeling. Hey, baby, baby, I got the feeling. Oh, I got that feeling, yeah. Hey, hey, got that feeling, y'all. Come on. Feeling, baby. Oh, I got the feeling, y'all. Can you put your hands together? I got the feeling. Oh, won't you say, baby, baby, I got that. Ah! Baby, ow! Feeling, baby. Ow, hey, hey, baby, 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 baby. Come on, sing it out. Baby, baby, come on. Baby, baby, baby. Can't hear you. Hey, hey. I got that. Thank you so much. My name is True Osborne. Humbled and honored.
All right.
Knew love like this before, 'cause I never knew love like this before.
Sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing?" All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way, because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning, and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes us tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. But thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you. I love you with my life.
Stephanie Mills.
And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started in Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, at ACP, the Defense Force was gathered and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in the South.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
Hey, Rev. Keep it real. I have the Pastor Wright with us too. Keep it real.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back.
Keeping it real.
Taking your calls from around the country at 1-877-532-5797. I'm honored. I said in the opening that I grew up in Washington Temple Church of God in Christ. I was a boy preacher there, starting at 4 years old. And there was a legendary organist, played the Hammond organ, called Henry Costin. And when I was about 11 or 12, a young man came and joined the church that could play better than Henry Costin, and formed groups and went on to be a gospel superstar. And they named him the Godfather of Gospel. And he was maybe 2 or 3 years older than me, but he and I stayed bonded until his untimely death. And he came to National Action Network conventions, was always involved, and he pastored and founded the Grace Tabernacle Christian Center. God blessed him with a son that has continued that ministry in music and with the church. And David Wright has the spirit of his father. If you around him, you can't help but think of Timothy. Just his spirit is there. And they're having a 30th year reunion featuring the Grammy-nominated New York Fellowship Choir, using gospel as both ministry and movement, and continuing the family's bond with us. I really wanted to talk to David about it, and he is on the live line, Pastor David Wright. How you doing, David?
Reverend Uncle Al Sharpton, I'm doing well. How are you, man?
I'm holding on. I'm glad to hear your voice. Tell us about, well, first of all, for people around the country, and I know all the gospel world and the gospel listeners know your father and know you. But for people that may be more secular, tell them the impact your father had on gospel. Because I don't think, after James Cleveland, I don't think anyone ranks near the impact and longevity of what your father did with gospel music.
Yeah, my dad, he went 40 years strong in gospel music from the late 60s, early 70s, all the way up until his passing. And so many hit songs that people may know to this day. Who's on the Lord's Side, Trouble Don't Last Always, and Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. There are so many people that grew up singing these songs that are now our popular gospel artists, like Kirk Franklin and Kurt Carr, Donnie McClurkin, all of these guys, Hezekiah Walker. All of these guys were just about students of my father, the late Reverend Timothy Wright. So his reach has gone well beyond what he ever even thought.
And now as you continue in this tradition laid out by your father, which is biblical from one generation to the other, tell us about the 30-year reunion.
Yes, we did a brand new CD representing 30 years of the New York Fellowship Choir that my father started back in 1993 with a song called Come Thou Almighty King. We did it at Pilgrim Renaissance, Bishop Roy Brown's church.
Right.
And that was 30 years ago. So this year we're doing a 30-year reunion tour, and we're going to close it out probably in January, the beginning of the year. We're going to do a big concert in January the 3rd. Will be a huge closeout concert for the 30-year reunion. And that's going to be right at my church, 1745 Pacific Street, Brooklyn, New York.
And so you're going to end it there, 30th anniversary. And what is the message you hope to send to the community at large, as well as the gospel community?
Yeah, the message we want to send is nobody gets where they are on their own. So when we do these reunions, we bring back people that helped us start what we got going on. We bring back people that sometimes folks have forgotten about, because you're not where you are without standing on some great shoulders. So the message to our community, don't forget the shoulders that you're standing on. Every now and then, just go back and remember, get back And with our community, I think our community would be better with more family reunions.
Right,
Get
right.
get family reunions together. And remember, when you can sit with grandma and granddad and some of the uncles and aunties from 20, 30 years ago, it will strengthen what you have going on now.
And this kind of spirit of reunion and intergenerational relationships is so needed in our community and so much missing now, which is why I was so ecstatic when I got your note on what you're doing around the 30th anniversary and around, needless to say, continuing the legacy of your father. What do you hope people can learn from the historic relationship of your father passing the torch to you and you remaining committed to that? What is the lesson in that for people learning that may learn something around the country?
Yes, yes. I truly believe, and my father believed this as well, legacy never dies. It never goes to the grave. It is always passed on. And sometimes the issue comes is no one that's willing to take on the mantle. No one that's willing to pick up such heavy mantles, because the mantles are falling, but we don't have people picking them up. And I'm glad that I was in place to pick up a heavy mantle such as the mantle of Reverend Timothy Wright. And we need more fathers that are willing to pass something down to their sons, something down to the next generation, to their sons and even their daughters. Got to pass something down and have someone, sons and daughters must be trustworthy to carry that legacy and not tarnish that legacy.
Yeah, Mayor Rodney Jones, Queensbridge Houses, is texting on our live stream saying that he talked about, he remembers the episode on Undercover with Pastor Timothy Wright, and I did the preacher part, and he remembered that's many years ago. Wow, I forgot about that. Timothy and I was on New York Undercover. That was a hot show at that time.
At that time, it was the #1 show.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so give us the details again on the tour and the 30th anniversary.
Yes, part of the tour will be at our Holy Convocation in Memphis for the Church of God in Christ.
Right.
That's going to be in November. I'll be there. And then we're going to Spain and Italy out there and overseas from December 15th to December 30th. We'll be there. And then we're coming back to the States, and we'll be closing out on January the 3rd will be our last concert regarding the 30-year reunion. And that's going to be at 1745 Reverend Timothy Wright Way, a.k.a. Pacific Street, 1745 Pacific Street, Brooklyn, New York.
And
the New Grace Tabernacle.
Is anybody wants to follow it? Is there a website or something someone can follow?
Yes, they can find me on Facebook at David Wright, or they can go to Godfather Records on Facebook. You can find it there, or Instagram. I'm at Pastor DW3. Pastor DW3 on Instagram. They can find all of the information there as well. And they can look up the New York Fellowship Mass Choir as well. And if you're in South New Jersey, my Life Impact Worship Center will be doing a small concert there in South New Jersey, 328 South White Horse Pike, Berlin, New Jersey.
All right, you busy like your daddy was. And Darius Miller is writing on our message page, ready for the convocation in Memphis. He said he'll see you in Memphis, so a lot of people responding. Thank you for being with us, Pastor David Wright. Thank you so much. We will take a break, and we'll be right back. Keeping it real. We'll open up the phones. Shopton. Be right back. Baby face.
Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take.
Whew. Thank you so much. I was thinking I was going to prepare a speech, but I can't read those things anymore. Name's Babyface, not Baby Body. But I wanted to, you made me sound so good with those words. I was like, that was me? I was like, when I look at my life and I think of the music and everything that I've done, I used to say that I don't know where it came from. I don't know where the words come from. I don't know where the music comes from. I don't know how I got here where I am, but that's not true. God got me here. This is and it becomes more clear to me every day that's why I'm here. And I don't even know how I ended up standing here, except for the fact that I ran into Al at the Essence. He was walking in the room, and I said, I got to go say hello. And he said, I want to honor you. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, I want to honor you. I said, really? Yep. And here I am standing here, and I can only thank you. I always want to do this, Michael. I love you too. Sorry. But I think of moments like this, I can't help but just think of how proud my mom would be for me to stand here. I have to say that just to be standing here and to be invited by Al Sharpton, and I want you guys to really think about this man who invited me here and how he has been fighting the fight for us all of these years. I don't think we give him enough credit. I don't think we give him enough love. Sometimes you just get used to people and you think, well, that's just Al. No. He's more than that. I want y'all to give him really love. Come on, let's give him. It's very true. Because I can remember times, I'm 67 years old, I can remember times in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, it's true, I'm 67. And I can remember times in Indianapolis when I was growing up, and there were places before I was 5 years old that I could not go to because I was black. And I remember how civil rights, how that changed everything for me and for my life, and that I'm standing here today because of all of those changes, and I was able to do the kind of music that I do and do everything because of those things happened. And so for me to accept an award like this, because I've never gotten an award like this before, and so I really appreciate it, and I'm just so thankful, and I thank my mom for giving me the sense to always be humble with my life and to never think that it's all about me. And so like I said, I didn't prepare a speech. I always just wanted to speak from my heart. And I'm speaking from my heart, and I want to tell you once again, Al Sharpton, you are a blessing to us all, and I thank you for inviting me for this, and thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Them know you can try to turn back the clock but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Tony Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, NASDAQ Network. He just came in here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice, so I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. Every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Church, I want to present to you a man of God, a man of his community, the Reverend Howard Hunt.
7-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, Twitter.com, The Rev Al. Let me say, by way of announcements, don't forget Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live both Saturdays and Sundays, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And certainly with the government shutdown, we'll have members of the Senate and the Congress. With the pending unprecedented case of FBI Director James Comey, I'm certainly going to dig into that. And the government just disregarding the governor and mayor in Chicago and the state of Illinois. I'm going to have some of the top there. I had the mayor and the attorney general of Illinois on last week. I'm going to have people in each of these areas at the top, so don't miss either night. And I think that it is imperative that we stay informed. Let me tell you, not being informed makes you at a disadvantage. That's why I take very, very, very on-hands approach to who and what I put on my show. I have a staff there. I tell them who I want. They can make recommendations, but I get to find a way, because I don't want people on there just to be on there talking about how smart they are and using big words and out of context analysis. I want people that can tell me why are we in a situation we in and how do we deal with it, what is legal, what is not legal. It's not a bunch of rhetoric. And that's why shows lasted 14 years, because people know when they come to my show, I'm not going to waste their time, and I want you to continue to support it. 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC, both Saturday and Sunday. And one of the things I don't do is deal with a whole lot of gossip and foolishness. somebody stopped me. I suppose it was yesterday. Yeah, Tuesday, yesterday. Said, Rem Al, over the weekend, President Trump tweeted something on his social media against you. And I didn't hear you say nothing about it on radio or TV. I said, they got the government shut down. Air traffic controls in jeopardy. Some are saying that they have no one in the air traffic place. They're talking about the furloughed federal employees may not get paid. That was a rumor yesterday. Now, in fact, they're trying to do it. Tens of thousands of people on furlough. And it's all to stop 11 million people from getting the health insurance. The Democrats say you can't take health insurance. And you wonder why I'm not wasting your time and my time on the air answering a man that tweets against everybody every day. Trump's tweeted on me many times, and he can tweet on. I am not here to play footsie with his kind of playing into what he wants to play into. Let's stay right on the issues that matter. His opinion to me doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me, doesn't matter to him. Furloughs, federal workers not getting paid, health insurance under the Affordable Care Act, how we deal with the criminal justice system based on laws and not vengeance, how we deal with our community's empowerment, how we deal with diversity, equity, and inclusion, how we deal with HBCUs. That's what I spend my time on. All this back and forward, Trump wants us to major in him. I couldn't, whatever he write about me, let him write, God bless him, heaven smile upon him. Now let's talk about the issues I'm talking about. Make sure you deal with that in Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 Eastern Time on MSNBC. You that are in the tri-state area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., House of Justice. I'm looking for you this Saturday. I'll be there. And, of course, you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television, the only national black gospel network on television. Or you can watch it on live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. All right, let me go to Leon first. I think I told Leon to call first. Leon in Dallas, Texas. You're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Reverend Al, for bringing me back because the issue that we had started yesterday is extremely important when we talk about these Generation Z young people. We were talking about how the behavior that they exhibited at this 100th anniversary celebration football game and how the rappers were talking about Trap House and Crack Baby as if it was some term of endearment or whatever, or, how they recharacterized the N-word and made it, hip and cool. And you have mentioned many times that it's inappropriate because the root or the foundation of that, of all that cultural misguided affection is based on dysfunction, racism, and etc. And first of all, I wanted to say I appreciate you. We should appreciate you because I remember you when you started with Tawana Brawley. That's the first time I heard of you. Mm-hmm. And now you are the only, from my perspective, the only nationally known civil rights advocate to rock the microphone. Because I can remember when the NAACP was a high-powered organization. They had Thurgood Marshall. They did a lot of stuff. Then you had SCLC, Martin Luther King, what he did. But then all of a sudden a void occurred, and we didn't have anybody to stand up for the issues that are specific to African Americans. And now you started from basically, yourself, and now you're the one that's saying something. And other people can be critical of you, like that guy you was talking about, why didn't you do this, that, and the other. But you're the person that's saying something. So this guy, if he doesn't feel like you're doing what you should be doing, he needs to do something.
Right.
And that's how I feel about that, because I appreciate you, and I've like I said, I've been following you for years. You helped my friend get his wife in the hospital in Atlanta when they wouldn't accept her. So that's what I got to say about that. Now, but the cultural dysfunction that these rappers are, how can I say, influencing Generation Z with needs to be addressed. It's a serious problem.
Yeah.
Because Martin Luther King and all these other people, when they fought and gave up their life, they didn't give up their life for younger people to be drug dealers and carjackers and home invaders. They wanted you to be a doctor, a lawyer, a business person, something legitimate. And when you look at platforms like BET, for instance, I'm going to call BET out because this is just their theme. They espouse a thug culture for young black men and a stripper culture for young black women. There's no redeeming program. You remember when Tavis Smiley used to be on BET?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. There's nothing like that on BET now. It's all videos, stripper for women, thug for men. And it's had an impact when you go out to the football game and you see them know every word that the rapper's saying about Crack Baby, Trap House. But the football game that's supposed to be celebrating 100 years of athletic excellence, nobody's paying attention to it because they listen to the rapper. Yeah. So
Wow.
it was. I was very disturbed about that because I'm saying to myself, well, this is our heritage.
That's right.
This is tradition that we fought hard and gave blood, sweat, and tears for, and now the music companies who've taken the control of our black music away from us, black people. You remember Motown? Remember Stax?
Yeah.
Right. Well, that music was uplifting music.
Yeah.
Now that you got Sony, CBS, RCA, all these other different white companies,
And the live
that own these
streamers,
records.
they and these live streamers. Trisha's writing on here, Leon, said Trisha's on our message board saying Leon is telling the truth. I was there and it was a disgrace to see a geriatric washed up rapper in the end zone disrupting the State Fair Classic Prairie View versus Grambling. So you got an amen corner here.
Well, Reverend Al, again, this is a serious issue because the influence that these rappers have on younger people, and I've coached a high school baseball, stuff like that, and I try to talk to our younger kids in high school and try to get them to understand the value of education. Everybody black can't be a rapper or an athlete.
Right.
But education, you can be a lawyer, again, a doctor, again, an engineer, business person, and legit money. And that's what the mainstream needs to be focused on. Now, if you're smart enough to be if you're athletic enough to be a college football player and make money, that's fine. There's no problem with that. Or if you're talented enough musically to be a performer, that's okay. But it's not what the average or the masses can do to earn a living. You got to get a job. You got to have a profession, occupation. And if you listen to that rapper, he's going to have you thinking you're supposed to go out there and sell some dope, get a whole bunch of money.
No, I thank you for your call. I thank you for your insight. And I'm going to stay here as long as I can and inspire others to do the same. Let me say this to you, Leon. Democracy.fund says, I'll never forget when Kanye West took the stage during the weekend set at Coachella 2015 with his song All Day N-Word, called himself the N-Word. He sang to a 90% white crowd, which chanted the chorus along. I mean, we've gone that low. And some of us are too afraid to address it because it's not popular. But sometimes being right doesn't require popularity. Right gonna be right no matter what. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. And he was talking from what we talked about yesterday, and we talk about it today, how this gangster culture that they putting out there is not black culture. They're trying to act like you ain't black enough, you ain't street enough. No, blackness was never about how low we could go. It was about how no matter how far down they pushed us, we found a way up anyhow. We're not hoes and bees and niggas. That's not our culture. And that's what we talked about yesterday, and we can continue talking about some of that today. We are taking a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Shopton. Be right back.
Church, I want to present to you a man of God, a man of his community, the Reverend Howard Hundley.
Together. Yes, I am. Trouble on last always. I'm so glad. Yes, I am. Trouble on last always. Can I get a witness? I'm so glad. Trouble on last always.
The fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Shopton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished, but the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you a racial name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up
at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit there acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks, where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email, never had a cell phone, never could go online. Here you got 2 cell phones in your pocket, emails, computers at the house, and can't even get a block association meeting together. We got so much more that they gave us, and we're doing so much less with it. They went to vote when people were threatening their lives. Medgar Evers was shot dead in his driveway, left 3 children inside that never knew how it was to have a father in their adult years, died to give us the right to vote. Pregnant women marched through the streets of Birmingham. They sick police dogs on them to give us the right to vote. 4 little girls bombed in a church in Birmingham, Alabama to give us the right to vote. And here you are 40 years later in Detroit, Michigan. No dogs biting you, no bombs going off, no bullets, too lazy and ungrateful. Making mockery of her memory. Making mockery of her memory. Nobody should have to beg you to vote. Nobody should have to beg you to stand up and protect the rights that they died and suffered to give us. You can't take care of one thing on the ballot in Michigan when they had to change the laws of all 50 states. You complaining about one referendum when they did a whole revolution and never fired one shot. And then you turn it around on each other. Why do I want my daughters to visit that stone? Because I want them to know black women are not hoes. You have music companies selling misogynist records to our children. Black womanhood was Rosa Parks sitting in dignity. She wasn't break dancing. She wasn't talking about pimp me out. She made the world respect her people. So I want to thank Reverend Jackson and Mrs. Jackson and others that taught us a little younger who Rosa was, and we got to pass that on. Now, I want to challenge everybody here today that when we leave here, you ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to make one commitment in her name to yourself. That you're going to either join some organization or you're going to stand for some policy. You ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to resolve that you're going to do something that'll make a difference because we're here because she made a difference. Most people come and go and we never come to say goodbye because their hellos didn't mean anything to us. But we're here because she touched every one of us. And we need to make a Rosa resolution. I said to some of the young rappers the other day, talking to me about, well, you get on us about calling women out their names. I said you need to come and know the story of a dignified woman. They make the excuse, Mayor Kilpatrick said, well, you know, we love Aretha and that generation, but we just kick it like we see it. We just mirrors that reflect what we see. But there's something strange about that. I use a mirror every morning.
But I don't get up out the bed, hair all over my head, sleep around my eyes, slob around my mouth, walk outside talking about I'm going to keep it real. Mirrors are not only to reflect what you see, mirrors are to correct what you see. You need to make a Rosa resolution that we're going to correct what we see. We're going to keep the fight going. And we're going to have James Crow Jr. Esquire know that we are the children of those that change the world. My Rosa resolution is they won't have no rest until we finish the fight. Wherever I see an injustice, I'm going to stand up. If I can't stand up, I'm going to speak out. And if I can't speak out, I'm going to do like a Rosa. I'm going to get me a chair and just sit in the way.
Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And of course, I want to read off of our message page. I believe I have Evangelist Ramsey wrote, "Good afternoon, Dr. Sharpton. You good?" Yes, I'm good. Continue enjoying your life. Shout out to Reverend David Wright, who I remember worshiping at Grace in Brooklyn. Lady Wright put a hurting on a hat. The Godfather of gospel he was, and I am proud of his son, Reverend David Wright. That's so nice of Evangelist Ramsey, our real, authentic activist extraordinaire. Let me go to Mike in Georgia. Mike in Georgia, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, Reverend Al. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Reverend Al, I don't know the politics of this, but as I was watching Marnie Joe and the Attorney General was testifying, and she challenged that senator, saying that you calling me a liar. Those days of Barack Obama being when they go low, we go high over, he should have said, "Yeah, you're a bald-faced liar," and challenged her. But what's going on, Reverend? Now, why do we continue to try to be the nice guy when these people do not care? And how long can Mike Johnson keep the Congress out? I know he's trying to stop that vote for Epstein. Can he keep the Congress out indefinite?
No, he can't keep him out indefinite. But I think and it's a good question you raised, Mike. Thank you for your call. I think what Johnson's strategy is to try to keep them out long enough that he hopes the public puts pressure on the Democrats to drop their demand to don't mess with health costs. And so far, it's backfired. It worked last time. But so far, even the polling suggests Republicans don't want them to drop the health care. And you're seeing hospitals close in rural areas in red states. So I think that Johnson's strategy is not working for the Republicans this time. And in terms of they go low, we go high, I think that we have to resist becoming like them. But at the same time, we've got to let our people that are on our side, that agree with us, know that we are not rolling over. You got to fight back. So I don't say become low like them, but I can say that you need to fight them low and high where they at. And that's why I don't waste time with foolishness, but I come direct at them. But to do nothing, in my opinion, is not going high. Is appearing like you don't have the faith and confidence to do what is right. So I think some people misinterpret when Michelle says about going high.
Yeah, because it made the senator look weak when she challenged him like that. And one last thing, Rev, these troops that are coming to Illinois, what if the governor of Illinois sent out the National Guard from Illinois to stop the people from Texas to coming. Would that be perceived as insurrection? What?
That'd be
I
very
don't know.
interesting. I
We're
think
at this point.
that'd be very interesting. I don't know the answer to that, but I'll find out. And as well as you're right, because Trump is talking about using the insurrection law, which has not been tested. So let me check that out. That's a great question. Thank you, Mike. Let me go to Terry in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD. Terry.
Yes, hi, Reverend Al Sharpton. Thanks for taking my call. And thank you constantly for putting up a good fight. As John Lewis would say, we all need to get in good trouble.
Right.
And good trouble is exactly what you're doing. But my question for you is, how far are they willing to let Donald Trump go before enough is enough? And also, we need to hear from the states that he has deployed the troops into, from the people that are being affected by, because Donald Trump is creating this fire and then he's trying to put it out as if we are the bad people within, so that he can attack us. And again, he said he was going to call it insurrection. And everybody's confident. He said there's going to be dark days. It's constantly threat from him. How do we, as people, 10 toes on the ground, stand up to this nonsense and fight back constant? Because I noticed one thing about him. When you fight him back, he goes in a different direction. So how do we deal with this?
Well, I think you raised a lot of questions that need to be raised. One is, how long do we let him go forward? As long as we allow it. We ought to be putting pressure right now on our members in Congress that you better not fold, and if you do, we're voting against you. I think we've got to draw the line. Trump will go as far as we let him. And part of that, thank you for your call, part of that is that we've got to stop just wasting time thinking we can turn Trump around and put the pressure on the Congress and the Senate, because I think that they've not felt the pressure. And they need to know, fine, you're afraid that Trump will campaign against you? We're going to campaign against you. And that's where the rubber will meet the road. I think also when you raise the question of how we deal with Trump and his moving in all these directions, again, he's going to move as long as we let him. We say there was a check and balance. Well, we got to check on these members of Congress. We have a check on these senators. Let's use it. We have a check on what we use in media. That's why he's upset I'm still on television 14 years later and on radio and still marching and doing National Action Network. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, my man, Disco Brian.
Let's go to him after the break.
Wait a minute, Disco Brian, hold up. I'm on the break. Let me do the break. I'll come right back after.
Please receive one of the greatest voices for the urban community. One, amen. Not them yet. This is one of the greatest voices, not many of the greatest voices. We're going to adjust the program quickly at this time. This man has spoken out. He stood on the front line. He has been a man for the people, of the people. Please receive Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Bishop. To the Franklin family and to all of us gathered, Aretha Franklin was not only an unparalleled artist, she was a civil rights activist and freedom fighter. It is easy to celebrate the gifts that God gives, It is more difficult when someone uses those gifts in ways that enhances humanity. Aretha Franklin was given special gifts, but she used it in a special way. And she would not want us to celebrate her without talking about she stood for something. She never shamed us. She never disgraced us. She never made us make excuses for her. She represented the best in our community, and she fought for our community until the end. I first met Miss Franklin when I was a teenager. I'd become youth director of New York Operation Breadbasket, and she would come to the strategy meetings with Reverend Jackson. And I would hear the stories of how when Dr. Martin Luther King could make payroll, Harry Belafonte and Aretha Franklin went on an 11-city tour to raise money for Martin Luther King. A lot of artists hang up Dr. King's photo, but Aretha went and raised money and gave it and worked free. Her daddy marched with Dr. King, and she never stopped supporting. As the years went by and I developed National Action Network, and she would call my radio show and have me come to her affairs. She called me one day. She said, "Rev Mal, I want to send you something." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "What's your home address?" And she sent it. About 3 days later, I got a check made out National Action Network signed by Aretha Franklin. I saw about a month later, I said, "You know, I was so blown away. I grew up looking up to you that I framed that check." She said, "Boy, don't you have a copy machine?" She said, "You don't know how I am with my bank accounts. You better cash that check." And but all of her life, she supported the causes. She was a feminist before feminism was popular. She was a civil rights activist when it wasn't popular. She gave us pride, and she gave us a regal bar to reach. And that's why we're all here. We don't all agree on everything, but we agree on Aretha. And she fought for everybody. I remember when we were used to picket, Charles Williams and all of us jumping on the record industry, she said, "Now y'all leave Clive Davis alone. He's one of the good ones." She loved Clive and said, "We got to remember what happened to the Irish and what happened to Jews and what happened to blacks." And that is why we remember her legacy, because she sang a song for all of us. She was the soundtrack of the civil rights movement. If you track where we are, you can follow where Aretha had us. That's why when I look at her and James Brown, whose daughter's here, and others who paid a price, that opened the door, but never forgot where they came from. She was rooted in the black church. She was bathed in the black church. And she took the black church downtown and made folks that didn't know what the Holy Ghost was shout in the middle of a concert. You never saw her perform without her doing gospel, because she never was one to forget where she came from. And that's why we give her this great homegoing. We thank her for what she did with Dr. King. We thank her for what she's done with Reverend Jackson. We thank her for what she's done with all of us. And that is why, you know, the other Sunday on my show, I misspelled respect. And a lot of y'all corrected me. Now I want y'all to help me correct President Trump to teach him what it means. And I say that because when word had went out that Miss Franklin passed, Trump said she used to work for me. No, she used to perform for you. She worked for us. Retha never took orders from nobody but God. So Retha, as you get your rest, my mother passed about 6 years ago. President Clinton, my mother and I had a deal. She said, I'll meet you on the other side. You live the way you're supposed to, and I'll see you in heaven. I said, well, Ma, they tell me there is no bodies in heaven, just spirits. How am I going to know you? I know her sons are. How will I know it? She said, I'll tell you, you meet me at the exchange counter. I said, exchange counter? What kind of exchange counter? She said, well, right after you get through the Golden Gates, there's an exchange counter. That's where you hand in your cross to pick up your crown. We watched Aretha bear her cross down here. She had to sing with a broken heart. She had to work when she didn't get paid. She was a black woman in a white man's world. She bared her cross. She fought a good fight. Now it's time to crown the queen. I'll see you at the exchange counter where you can now hand in your cross. Ain't no cancer over there, Aretha. Hand in your cross and pick up your crown. As I take my seat, I've been asked to read this. Don't do that. Because I only have 5 minutes and y'all will make me go into something else. Dear friends and family of Aretha, Michelle and I extend our heartfelt sympathies to all of those who gathered in Detroit, and we join you in remembering and celebrating the life of the Queen of Soul. From a young age, Aretha Franklin rocked the world of anyone who had the pleasure of hearing her voice, whether bringing people together through thrilling intersections of genres or advancing. Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia. Disco Brian, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
So delighted to be keeping it real, Rev, and I just want to say first that in no way that is explainable beyond divinity can a 71-year-old man move like you did on the stage Monday night.
I had to show him I still can move a little bit.
I mean, it's just a fact, and you know, I saw Cornel West try to dance, and he needs to learn from you in many, many, many different ways, but also dance moves. Before I get to my main question, Rev, I just wanted to let you know, I'm Disco Brian Davis on Facebook, and I'm thedemocracy.fun on YouTube, and for some reason, I'm no longer able to comment on Facebook. I've been muted, and it might be because of trolls. I don't know. But I just wanted to let your media team know about that. If they can unmute me there, that'd be great. And Rev, also,
yeah, well, y'all see,
my
look into that and unmute him. That if you can, that's crazy. But go ahead.
Thank you, Rev. And this isn't my main question, but I also wanted to ask: did you happen to see, since you were at the Triumph Awards and I couldn't make it, Kimmel he did this beautiful defense of you. It was a little bit racy, okay, but it was very hilarious. And he flipped Trump's attempt to mock you into a very affable, loving defense of you. And so I would love you to. Did you happen to see his monologue Monday night?
I did not see Jimmy Kimmel Monday night, but I was sent a tape. I saw exactly what he did. I know Jimmy Kimmel, and you're right. He took it in a joking, kind of racy way, but that's what he does in comedy. But it was definitely taking a shot back at the president, and I'm glad you mentioned it because I need to send Jimmy a text or a note letting him know I've seen it. Somebody sent me the video. By the time I woke up the next morning, I had the video and about 3 or 4 other messages text to me, so I guess a lot of people saw it.
It was brilliant, and so if Jimmy Kimmel is listening, I would really appreciate it if he would have you back on as a guest there. I know your schedule is very busy, but it'd be really nice now that he's got a huge audience. I would love to see you there. And Rev, if I could ask, before I get to my question, I would love to see you, please, if you can, legally or whatever, if you're allowed to on MSNBC, via Politics Nation or wherever else you are, if you could promote Keeping It Real, because I really want people to hear this show, because I love everything you do, but this is by far my favorite. So if you could, I don't know, can you do that?
I will check. I don't see any reason why I can't. Everybody else promotes what they're doing. I think I should do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rev. So now getting to the main point. At the Triumph Awards, as we now see, Zoran Mamdani once again joined the stage with you and repeated his mantra that he wants to be held accountable. Now, to me and to many of us within your community, and there are some people who I think take issue with me now because I am not in love with Mamdani any more than I'm in love with Cuomo or anyone else. I am in love with accountability. So there are 3 things I think we need him to be held accountable for if we're to take his commitment to accountability seriously. Number 1, why is his outrage so selective? Of course, Bibi, Trump, and Putin deserve accountability for their many crimes, domestic and abroad, but Mamdani is a Shia Muslim. And so why can't I locate any instances of him condemning the regimes of Shia-majority countries like Iran, Iraq, Bahrain, and Azerbaijan for their horrific records on women, children, LGBTQ, and religious minorities? Because, Rev, listen, we all know, everyone listening knows exactly what would happen to you if you went to any of the capitals of those countries to deliver a Saturday morning Jesus-loving sermon, okay? Number 2, why does he maintain a friendship and an alliance with Hassan Piker, who has said and continues to defend himself after having said, among many other unconscionable things, quote, "It doesn't effing matter if rapes happened on October 7th. And number 3, why does Mamdani continue to frame Kamala Harris as, quote, enabling a genocide as he continues to ignore the theocratic dictatorships of his Shia sect that force 9-year-old girls into marriage? So, Rev, Mamdani can sit for an hour and find common ground and laugh at all the jokes of rape-indifferent Twitch streamer Piker in April, a multi-millionaire Marxist who lives in Los Angeles. He just spent an hour or 30 minutes with Roland Martin, who lives in Houston, who is great, but he lives in Houston. He spent an hour with the Bulwark's Tim Miller, who lives in Louisiana. And he spent a couple sessions now with those hilarious white Oklahoma podcaster ladies who host the I've Had It show. But Rev, if he makes time for all of those people, why has he seemingly so far refused Don Lemon's multiple attempts to book him for an interview when, after all, Don Lemon lives in Manhattan and just so happens to be the most popular black gay YouTube streamer in the world? And I can't see any reason, Rev, why Mamdani might have to refuse to come here on Keeping It Real for 1 or 2 sessions with us, your Nan family. And Rev, I've suggested it before, but don't you agree that all of these are fair things to ask Mom Donnie to be accountable for, and a really good reason to invite him here to have a very candid discussion with you and us, those of us lucky enough to be your truth-seeking, real-keeping flock. Thank you, Rev, for your
Well, thank you for
taking
your
my
call. I
Thank
think
you.
that's a legitimate request, and I'm going to do two things. I'm going to, I think the producers have asked Danny to come on Keeping It Real and open up the phones for a couple of segments, and I'm going to follow that up myself. And I am going to find out what bars us from promoting Keeping It Real on Politics Nation. I think both questions are sound and something I'll follow up. Let's go to Rufus in Savannah, Georgia. Rufus, you're Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton.
We lost Rufus, but Jihad is calling. We lost Rufus, though.
We lost Rufus, so let's go to Jihad, the sage of the South. Jihad, you're Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton.
We actually just lost him, too.
We lost Jihad?
Yeah, we out.
All right, lost Jihad. So let me stay in Atlanta then. Let's go to Teresa in Atlanta.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello.
You're
Hi,
on the air.
Reverend Sharpton.
Hi.
Hey. I wanted to say thank you for being one of the main people that I hear speak up about the use of the N-word. It's really horrible. I'm a veteran, and I think a lot of people don't realize, like overseas, when they play rap songs, generally the people in the audience or whatever, they actually say the words in the rap song.
Wow.
And when they say the word. So when it comes to getting ready to say certain words, they look around at the black people who are around them to see if it's okay to say that. But I would never repeat it. But, I mean, it just goes to show that people are going to call you what you let them call you.
That's right.
And if you're calling yourself that, how can you expect people to really take you serious? Also, I noticed, I read the New York Times every day. There's an article about what Mexico is doing, where they're trying to take a lot of the drug culture out of the music and stuff like that.
Right.
And I just thought that was very interesting. And I realized it's kind of governmental, even though that president, she is a Jew. And so maybe she's trying to stay with the America with the freedom of speech thing. So she's kind of lightly commenting on it, kind of on the sidelines. But I think it's a good thing. And I just kind of wish that it was, black people could do something. Of course, the government's not going to do it. That's out the question. But I just kind of wanted to comment on that. And I just thought it was interesting how they're trying to clean up their culture in Mexico. And I just wish black people would wake up. Wake up, please.
All right.
And so that's all I wanted to say.
Well, you said some, I think, important stuff. Let's take our break. We'll be right back. More of you on the phones and on the message board. Keeping it real. Shopton. Be right back.
It's time for a new course, a new coalition, a new leadership. Somebody got to rise above race, rise above sex. A new leadership, a choice, a chance. Don't pride by what you don't have. Use what you got. Everybody in town was scared of Goliath. We got more and more folk and fewer services. We cannot stop. We got to rise on higher. Little David. Little David. Little David. Took off his unnecessary garments. Little David. Didn't want to get weighted down with a lot of foolishness. Little David. Took what God gave him, a slingshot and a God biscuit, a rock.
What up, big brother? You good?
Talk about you all day on TV.
What up, big brother? You good?
Talk about you all day on TV.
What up, big brother? You good?
Talk about you all day on TV.
It's time for a new course, a new coalition, a new leadership. Somebody got to rise above race, rise above sex, a new leadership, a choice, a chance. Don't pride by what you don't have, use what you got. Everybody in town was scared of Goliath. We got more and more folk and fewer services. We cannot stop. We got to rise on higher. Little David. Little David. Little David. Took off his unnecessary garments. Little David. Didn't want to get weighted down with a lot of foolishness. Little David. Took what God gave him, a slingshot and a God biscuit, a rock.
One, two, three, I got the feeling. Hey, baby, baby, I got the feeling. How I got that feeling, yeah. Hey, 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 got that feeling, y'all. Come on. Feeling, baby. Oh, I got the feeling, y'all. Can you put your hands together? I got the feeling. Oh, won't you say, baby, baby, I got that. got that. Thank you so much. My name is True Osborne. Humbled and honored.
All right.
All right, Rev, you're live. Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host.
Keeping it real.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Let's go right back to the phone. Let's go to Ira in Washington, D.C. Ira, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, good evening, Reverend Al Sharpton. This is what I had ran across this article on this thing called threads.com by a gentleman named Joel J. Wilson. And it's a long story, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to give you the scenario. It's about they signed on these people a $50,000 sign-on bonus to get this group called the GEO Group and the Cure Civil Group. And their stock went up 29% and 42%. And the main objective is to get all these racist folks to come around up anybody. He included, as you go to that particular thing that he wrote, it includes people in Chicago going to black people's door and getting them taken away as well. It's about getting bodies in order to make money. So if you pay somebody $50,000 signing bonus, I got the feeling they're going to do something or anything to get that money and keep it. So I just want to get them to look at that particular site where this guy is. Like I said, it's called Theo J. Wilson off the threads.com. And he just posted that this morning. When I saw that, it's just crazy because they got these people who had opened up these new, opened up the old concentration camps, the old jails, and old, places to hold people up just to get these new bodies in. And you had to listen to the whole story yourself to make sure you get the wording right. But what it boils down to, these people has been set up after Trump got in, and they made money, and nobody can beat them out. So you have to listen to the whole story and kind of what's going on here. It's really not good.
No, it's not, and I'm going to pull it up and see what it says, but thank you for your call. Let me go to Woody in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Woody, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, man, no better person to keep it real with. I'll tell you that, so I really appreciate you. I want you to know that, and all the work that you're doing. I just wanted to say, when you can do for self, that becomes the key to movement in the right direction. We have yet to really get up to the point, as Trump said, African Americans, your schools are all messed up. You can't get money from your banks. You're being gentrified out of your neighborhoods. I'm the only one that can fix it. It's happening at such a rapid pace, we can't keep up, Rev. I would really like you, the only one that could, to find out what can we do for some of the long-term residents that have been in their neighborhoods who didn't get the proper education in the first place, but now they're being hit with all this high bills and real estate tax and everything else because they can't handle what the new people coming in can handle because they got the proper education in the public schools.
Well, I think
you can't make the money.
I think that Woody, I thank you for your call. Let me answer you as you laid it out. One, I think that the reason that we cannot get the money and the kind of access to the mortgages and maintaining our houses is because of banking and redlining, and they are regulated by the federal government. And there's been any number of studies that shows that the discriminatory practices that they've used in terms of loans and mortgages, which is what we're fighting with. Part of the reason we marched on Wall Street, part of the reason we're buying shares in some of these companies and banks now. Secondly, the schools, when you quote Trump talking about the schools are not educating people, the schools is run by the government. It is amazing to me how Trump has been president twice, and he talking about what happened to us like he didn't have power over it. He appointed the head of the Department of Education, 4 years ago and now. He deals with bankers. He's the one, if he could shut down DEI, he could shut down mortgage redlining. He could shut down what they're doing in terms of schools, since he's revamping the schools anyway to eliminate black studies and all. So I think the last person that should be raising these issues is Trump. Now, to answer your question about what we should be doing, we should be fighting these companies like we started with this Wall Street stuff, what we're going to do, becoming shareholders. We should be going from shareholders to withdrawing banks. We should choose whatever bank is going to do us right and all bank in one bank. We need to fight back. That's what our grandparents did. We never sat around waiting on them to do something for us. But for a man that has taken care of everybody but us to tell us what we don't have is insulting. We don't have it because he helped make it even worse, and he's holding it right now. And I think we need to deal with that. Do you understand that Donald Trump has revamped education, cut off a lot of our educational programs, cut it off with DEI, took the money from one group, gave it to another, which was HBCUs, and we're supposed to be happy with that, and has instituted laws that would limit us. So Donald Trump could do a lot if he wanted to, but he knows that he can throw it out there, and we'll act like, oh, wow, what can we do? And a lot of his MAGA followers say, see, the blacks ain't competent. No, we're being held back. There's a difference between being held back and us forcing ourselves back. That's why we've been talking about culture the last couple of days on here. Don't romanticize being ghettoized. And that's what a lot of us are doing. But Trump has no problem with that. Let's go to, I believe we have Jihad back. I went to Jihad before, the Sage of the South. Jihad.
Hey, Reverend, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
Good. And thank you. You know what I mean? The caller repeating something that Trump says about our condition is absolutely, and I don't know what his intention was, but to present Trump as someone who actually cares about our condition in spite of all of his history, his parents, his father, the housing discrimination, the boys in New York, taking the general's picture down, taking how could you call and say that Trump is pointing something out that we need to do?
Yeah.
I can't figure it out. How do you do that? You know what I mean? That's the issue we had with Charlie Kirk also. And that was one of Charlie Kirk's arguments when he goes on these campuses talking about we do nothing and we did this and we did that, and except never pointing out that the crippling effect of 250 years of slavery, the crippling effect of Jim Crow, the crippling effect of redlining, the crippling effect of funding, and then we accept responsibility for some of the music also. But to be honest with you, Rev, the people behind that's making the most music, money off the music, it's not those rappers.
That's right. That's
right. I mean, it's not those rappers at all. So if those rappers was talking about those people like they talk about us, they wouldn't let those rappers make money.
That's right.
They made tons of money off of those rappers. And this is not to excuse them, by no means.
That's right.
But I'm one who paint the whole picture, paint the entire picture. Don't take piece of the picture and present it to us. Because if you take piece of the picture, you're going to have us jacked up all the time. Paint the entire picture of the condition. Now, there's one brother, I've been listening to him, and there's a fine gentleman calls his show. And Ayatollah Khomeini, whom a lot of people hated, and he once called America the Great Satan, and they went tripping about that. what the Ayatollah was saying to America was, we don't want your morality. We don't want your moral culture. That's what most foreign countries say. That's what most of the people who have issues with America, they didn't like our culture and our degradation, the degraded condition that we were dropping into morality. And we wanted to spread that culture throughout the world. You know what I mean? And then once I'll give you a quick picture of the culture. You remember women used to go to the beach in the 20s. They used to have this little swimming outfit on that was like, you know, it was a nice little outfit, modest, morally based for the most part. If you go to the beach today, Rev, you can't take your grandson to the beach.
You
Rev,
got that right.
They got the swimsuit. You know what I'm saying? Now, that has almost like become like a normal. And then you have other cultures who still, if you go to those cultures, you'll see the women still dress modest. They still dress long outfits on, et cetera, et cetera. So they just don't want to peddle that morality in their country. And I can't blame them for that, because right now we're talking about the damage that is done to us right here in America, to the point that we can go to the beach and a woman will come out in the beach with nothing on but the big old ham hocks showing on both sides, Rev. Period.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And this has become normal in our culture. Now, and then some of us are going to say, well, women can wear what they want to wear. Well, and they one of the arguments is say, well, in Africa they used to wear hardly no clothes. They didn't have script joints on every corner. They didn't have Epstein and Playboy. They didn't have the music that was degrading black women and pumping up sexuality. They didn't have none of that in Africa when the women wore breastless and et cetera, et cetera. Those women operated in people of high moral character. They didn't have adultery for the most part. They didn't have fornication. They didn't have pornography. They didn't have any of that. So to compare that situation with our situation doesn't even make any sense whatsoever. So I thank you for jumping on the moral issue, the moral situation. The most of the religious knowledge is the prophets came to teach us to obey, to do the 10 Commandments and those things, because they realize that if you become immoral, all these other issues are going to follow right behind, and you're not going to have the strength to fix yourself, because if your morality is shot, then you're going to be shot. And most of our issues can be traced to our moral conduct and how we accepted this weak moral culture of the Western world. Thanks, Reverend Al.
I appreciate your call. Thank you as always. See, we right up on the break. Let's take a break, and we will be back right after the break. Keeping it real, Shopton. We'll be right back. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is, as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I help formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advise you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the door's open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on. No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom, let my people go, go. We gonna shine and we shake. Give me a papa God, rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children. Knew love like this before, 'cause I never knew love like this before.
Sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling
Keeping it real. Oh, keeping it real.
girl, she would have my father.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and I like that Trisha. Trisha wrote, you got so many coming in. Trisha wrote, IMO Reverend Al is not shy and does not shrink. He's been in the game a long time. He's seen leaders come and go. So I have faith in Rev that he will say and ask what needs to be said or asked. I promise you I'm going to do that. That's one reason I've been out here a long enough time. I see him come and go, and I know who I wanted to emulate and who I wanted to just let time take care of. Because, you know, I feel, maybe because I grew up in the church, that you can feel people before you can hear them. And I just feel a lot of people just wasn't sincere. They were there for other reasons. Some of them were caught up in the moment and might have seemed sincere, but wasn't committed for the long run. So I've been through, I guess, 7 or 8 mayors. Some I had to fight, some I worked with, like Mayor Dinkins and others. I've been through 5 presidents, 4 of whom I could talk with, work with. Bill Clinton and I used to talk, meet in the White House, and George Bush and I did some school education stuff together, though I marched him with Katrina. and he understood I wasn't going to agree with his judicial picks. And Barack Obama and I was very close. I went to the White House scores of times, dealt with him on policy, and still led the marches in Ferguson, Missouri, and Eric Garner and Trayvon Martin while he was president. One didn't stop the other. And then, of course, Trump came in. I wouldn't deal with him. He called me and invited me to Mar-a-Lago. I wouldn't go. If you read Omarosa's book, she talks about in the first term how they tried to get me. I wouldn't do it. And then, of course, I worked closely with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So you ain't going to show me nothing I've not seen. You're not going to impress me after 4 or 5 presidents and 7 or 8 mayors. I want some real, concrete stuff done. Why would I get to my 70s and turn around and get impressed now or get off of my point now? Would not make sense. I ain't going out like that. And I would suggest the same to everybody else. So it is Reverend Jesse Jackson's birthday day. I have my special guest right here in the corporate offices of National Action Network. He is the COO of National Action Network, Chief Operating Officer for y'all that don't know what COO means. Some of y'all may think that means cuckoo, but it's Chief Operating Officer, and he's the pastor of the historic Mother AME Zion Church in Harlem, the church Paul Robeson was a member of, the church that Frederick Douglass preached in, a historic church. Reverend Dr. Malcolm Byrd. Reverend Byrd, tell me you just in your early 40s, and tell me what Jesse Jackson means in history and to your generation.
Reverend, first of all, I'm so honored to be on your program again. I'll start with my first time meeting Reverend Jackson. I had just come to San Francisco to pastor First AME Zion Church. This is 2008, 2009 or so. And the Reverend Dr. Amos Brown, who was then the pastor of Third Baptist Church, now in retirement, was president of the NAACP, called me and said, "Byrd, Jesse Jackson is in town because he wants to do a picket in front of the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco to address the widespread home foreclosures that were affecting black and minority people in California. There were whole neighborhoods, like in Antioch, California."
He wanted to address home foreclosures.
That's right.
You said Jesse Jackson, not Donald Trump? No, because somebody just called me talking about Trump was concerned about our mortgages and all.
Please.
So go ahead.
Yeah, no, this is Reverend Jesse Jackson years ago addressing home foreclosures. And so we went out, we did this picket in front of the Federal Reserve Bank in San Francisco. We then left and went to a soul food restaurant that's now closed called Gussie's Chicken and Waffles in the Fillmore District. And Reverend Sharpen, I was so enamored by being in the presence of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. There were other preachers who were there, maybe about 3 or 4 of us. But the thing that impressed me the most, that I never will forget, that entire meal, that entire conversation, and we were there talking about everything and everybody, Reverend Jesse Jackson never turned off from the movement. He was constantly bringing the conversation back to what we had to do next, where we had to go next as a people. And I think that speaks to why his legacy has lasted and why he has survived so long, because he was constantly focused on what was next. Once we finish this campaign, we have to focus on what is next. And I would say without a doubt, he is definitely in the book of my top 5 greatest people of all time. Number 1, he has kept his iron in the fire. He has bore his burden in the heat of the day. And I think when the history of this period, these last 60 years, has been told, you can't have a Barack Obama without first having a Jesse Jackson. He paved the way. He blazed the trail for so many blacks in corporate spaces, blacks in political spaces. And on this, his 84th birthday, I say, sitting here from our corporate headquarters in the National Action Network, Reverend Jesse Jackson, thank you for the trails you've blazed for me and for others all over the country and all over the world.
All right, well said. And what does Marcia McCoy say? Ditto, ditto, ditto. Let's go to Lightning Rod in Detroit, Michigan. Lightning Rod.
Captain Rev.
How you doing? I'm good.
Hey, I got to laugh about that one. Ha ha ha! That was a good one. You got me yesterday. That was a good one, Rev.
I don't, I take a lot of calls every day. I frankly don't know what you're talking about, but go ahead today. What you got to say?
Oh, okay. But it was about. Remember, I was asking
I
you
don't
if I
need to
could
remember.
be.
We on today. Come on, I got a lot of calls.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, Captain. So I was following up on what I was saying yesterday, and then I want to talk about Donald Trump right quick. But following up what I was saying yesterday about the signs of what's being seen in our neighborhood, about what the problems is, about the mentalities and things of that nature, of the tattoos on the face, the profanity and violence on T-shirts, the mindsets of things of that nature. Too many liquor stores. Those got to be stopped because that's fueling the fire. Plenty of African American neighborhoods got too many liquor stores, too many weed shops, and that's fueling the fire of bad behavior. Hashtag black behavior does matter, just like Black Lives Matter. But to follow up on what I was saying, Rev, the culture of what you were saying, when it comes down to nitty gritty of how we're going to stop this, we have to be able to get at those people that are portraying these things of constantly putting out violent stuff on the internet. They're acting it out constantly and things of that nature. So that's just pretty much, I'm just pretty much following up on finishing that up. But let me say this about Trump, though. There is some reasoning with him. There has to be some reasoning within him because he freed Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, which is the greatest hip-hop mayor of all time. When I say the greatest, I mean notorious, controversy, everything. When I say making a movie, only person that can rival him as a mayor or even be compared to him when making a movie is maybe Rudy Giuliani or Marion Barry. Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick was freed by Donald Trump. So there is some reasoning with this, man. I just hope that you...
Okay, wait a minute. So you're saying you compare Kwame Kilpatrick, who I know well, with Marion Barry, who I knew well, and Rudy Giuliani?
Yes, he's on their level, if not greater, when it comes to all around everything, notorious movie making
Tell
material.
me what great things Rudy Giuliani did.
No, I'm talking about as far as this fame and popularity, and as far as going down in history books of who's going to be the most notorious or famous mayor of all time. It's going to be a three-way tie. If anything, the greatest hip-hop mayor of all time will be Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick. Bro, when I say that it was a mania, a circus media mania, it was like half of what is going on with Puff Daddy. It was half of that going on in Detroit, and Rev, you knew what was going on in Detroit. When I say the circus
let me
media
say
was,
this. I know Kwame
incredible.
very well. He's in the ministry now. I've talked to him since he got out, and
Right.
I think that his mother just passed this week, Congresswoman Carolyn Kilpatrick, a great legislator. And I thank you for your call, Lightning Rod. Thank you for your call. I don't want to be famous the way Giuliani and the other that you named are. I think that we need to be really careful about separating somebody. Marion Barry did a lot of great things. Kwame Kilpatrick did good things. Rudy Giuliani was anti-us. And I think that, all of them got famous, but some gangsters got famous, but they were still gangsters. So fame does not equalize and neutralize bad deeds, in my opinion. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Shopton. Bird. Be right back.
Joining James Brown, Muhammad Ali, and myself now from New York City is the Reverend Al Sharpton. And Mr. Brown, James, I'd like to ask you about this young man, how you came to meet him, and what the National Youth Movement, which he represents, is all about. Tell me something about
it. Teaching young kids the right way to go, and the things to be involved in education. Don't be a dropout, which is one thing I'm very much behind. Unless kids have guidance, they have no place to go. And the idea is to try to mold them. I mean, we think of anything, we think of it as a baby. And what we mold them to be is what it will be later on. He used to stand at my back door, and he believed in what I said, the Don't Be a Dropout program, and the fact of helping kids and giving them the right idol and the right image to go with, cleaning, grooming. and wanting to work, wanting to be something. I started as a kid, a juvenile delinquent, you know, and everything. Had no model. And I was able to be a model for a young man like this. And what he turned out to be is a minister, and he preaches the right thing, and I'm for him 1,000%. I'm for everything he's about.
Mr. Sharpton, how national right now is the National Youth Movement? Is it something new? Has it been going on for a while? Do you have a stated number of members? Tell me something about it.
Well, we don't really get into a numbers game because that's been a trick that has been played for the last 20 years. What we're basically interested in doing is saying to young people of impoverished backgrounds that there are people like a Muhammad Ali and a James Brown that represents hope to us. Because these people, despite all of the social odds, despite the unemployment statistics, despite the lack of education in their day, were able to grow and be something that we can be proud of. A man like me didn't have a father at home, but I had a James Brown to look up to and would want to sing and dance like him, or Muhammad Ali, who I saw stand up and give away millions of dollars of stamps to the government so that I would have a right to come 10 or 20 years later and try to fight for my kids. So what we're saying is there are symbols and images that kids can look up to and not have to throw a brick through a window, but that can work by the sweat of their brow and succeed, just like these two gentlemen did.
But considering the numbers of young kids today, and Rev, there are hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of kids who really are in hopeless and desperate situations, is it enough to just offer them an example?
You say hopeless, though. Not hopeless.
Well, let's say, well, to them, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids,
it's never hopeless. There's no such thing as hopeless. It's never hopeless. When I got 8 to 16 years for breaking and entering as a kid, because I was hungry, and here I am today, it's not hopeless. Just don't say hopeless. Then we're carving out. I don't believe in hopeless. Don't you think it's hope? If you believe in something, try it. No such hopeless. I don't believe in hopeless. We're not going to go with that. And I think he's not about teaching them how to get out and fight for themselves. That's what it's about. No, it's not hopeless. Everybody has a cause and everything, but everybody want to live. And I think living is what we're about. We're not going to teach dying. Hopeless is dying.
I agree with you 100%, James. But what I'm trying to ask here is simply saying, you too can be a James Brown or a Muhammad Ali. Is that enough to give a kid who's hungry, who doesn't know where his next meal is coming?
I'll say it.
Give him somewhere to go.
I think it's awful weak to tell a kid, you can be a James Brown, one of the greatest entertainers in the world, and me, one of the greatest fighters. And like you said, the hundreds of thousands of millions of kids that need a break. You can't have that many great people, but they can get educated. They can go to school. They can learn. I'd like to say one thing. We have crime today. It's a big problem. I think they took a national vote on what the people want the government to spend most of the money on, and crime was over national defense. Worrying about Russia, China, outside enemies, they're worrying about inside crime. We have crime today, all type prostitution, murder, exploitation, degradation, and wars of all kinds. And I'm going to tell you why everything's happening. And I think if you're intelligent, you agree with it. If we were riding an airplane and the two pilots died for some reason, is there anybody in this room that can go in the cockpit, pick up the radio, start working it, bring the plane in, depressurize it as it land, and make it, and late at night on a stormy day? You couldn't do it.
Right.
Well, but if you learn how to fly, or if they show you how to fly, you can. Since God made the world and God made us, He sent the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, sent Moses, Jesus, Noah, to show us how to run the world. And God left His laws. If we don't follow His laws, then we crash.
Let me say this, though, Mr. Snyder, in response to your question to Mr. Brown, Mr. Ali. Yes, it is enough to begin with showing them an example, because before you get to education, you need motivation. If you don't have motivation to get out of the bed, you won't make school or the party. And what we try to do by showing a James Brown or Muhammad Ali is not that you can be a great champion maybe like Ali or a great entertainer like James Brown, but if you use the same initiative that they did to make him get up 5 in the morning and run 10 miles and just have a dream and to come back 3 times and accomplish that dream, to have more hits than anybody in the world, even when the music world wouldn't give him credit for it in terms of a James Brown. If you had that initiative to keep working at whatever it is that you're going to do, you can succeed. And what we're saying to them is you may not reach the plateau of public prominence of them, But if you can reach the personal discipline and personal motivation of them, you can reach a plateau in your life. Because it's not about looking for a government handout, it's about looking for a way out, as James Brown said.
All right, and then how receptive are the young people that you tell this to?
Very receptive.
Really?
Very receptive. Very receptive. I think that people have misunderstood that most people of impoverished and depressed areas are not looking for the government to give them something. They just want a chance. I remember when I was a little boy, James Brown used to sing, I don't want nobody to give me nothing, just open the door, I'll get it myself. Well, that's all people want now is a chance. Let me get a piece of the action. Let me get a piece of the pie. Let me stand up on my own.
All right. At one
man should have, the major corporations, the government, should get behind him and push the programs that he's about.
Except maybe if he does it himself and gets grassroots support, it's better than having the government stick their nose in because they have a way sometimes.
We're not talking about control.
Yeah.
We're not talking about control. We're talking about a way of start. You know, they have to start. If they fund Chrysler and fund all these different other things, they can fund them small, man, to get started. Then the private sector will join in. But let them help too. It should be.
Last thing. Somewhere along the line here tonight, we used a graphic saying long, hot summer. Are you in any way, I'm certain you're not predicting a long, hot summer. You're not predicting urban strife. You're not predicting disorder, anything like that.
Well, what I'm saying is, you know, at home you have an oven. There are flames on top of the oven, and then there's heat in the oven. We always discuss whether there'll be a flame on the top, and don't discuss it. There's already 600 degrees inside. I'm not concerned as much about a long, hot summer because it's been a long, hot winter. Yeah. People are unemployed.
Okay.
People are unemployed. People are getting their homes ripped off. Parents' pocketbooks being snatched. As Ali said, crime is at a highest rate it's ever been. So rather than us running around the streets looking for a brick, we should be looking at the fact the brick is already in most people's houses. How do we get the brick out of the house? How do we cool the long oven out? Let's not wait for the explosion and then just cut the flames off upstairs. Let's put the flame out inside. And the only way to do that is everybody to get up and work by the sweat of their brow in America and try to produce, be productive like these two gentlemen have been in their life against all odds. They came up in a world that was alien to them, and they made it. And we can make it if we have the same initiative they did.
Mr. Sharpton, it's been a pleasure to have you here tonight, and I've enjoyed meeting you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
very
coming
much.
by, and thank you, James Brown, for being with us again. Kent, thank you for being here tonight.
Modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished. But the results are the same.
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Malcolm Bird sitting in with me. And I jumped during the commercial, Reverend Bird, and did Jesse Jackson Jr.'s show. And he announced this morning he's running for Congress again. He announced it on his father's birthday, and I thought that was a great thing to do. And he's running to show that you can stumble and pick yourself back up and redo and redeem. And he was in Congress 17 years. They got him on some legal stuff, went away, came back in 2 years and been building ever since, works with National Action Network, but never left there in Chicago. And he's announced he's running for his old congressional seat. And I think that is very telling to me about hear Reverend Jesse Jackson and his wife, Jacqueline Jackson, both born in segregated South. Mrs. Jackson from Florida, raised in Virginia, and Reverend Jackson, South Carolina, both born in the 40s and raised and went to school and college in the 50s and 60s. And out of segregated South, think about that. And they've got 2 sons they put in Congress as a result of the movement and voting rights and other things. So that is absolutely something we ought to applaud. And I thank God that he put me in their lives because they are historic, and I think that is beautiful. Let's go back to the phone. Let me go to Tommy in Chicago. Tommy, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
A pleasant afternoon to you, both reverends, especially to Reverend Byrd. I'd like to take you back to 1972.
You got to talk in the phone. You're coming off blurred. I can't understand you.
Hold on, Rev. 1 second. Give me 1 second, Rev. I'm sorry, Rev.
Hello?
Can you hear me now, Rev?
Yeah, I hear you now.
I am very sorry to waste your time, but I just want to take you quickly to 1972. I lived on corner 59th and Halsted, and young man, they went down to the International Amphitheater. It was a Black Expo. First time I would see the Jackson 5. I would also like to say this is the same black man who went over and brought back captured prisoners of war, and the country wouldn't even recognize him for doing that. This man lived in the city of Chicago. This man also had an individual that was in his organization. His name is Reverend Al Sharpton. I can only simply say to you, Reverend Al, that at such a time as this, as I called in and said before, I'm not quite sure why people are trying to act like you brand new when you've been here. You didn't just get here. And to the other Reverend, and I don't know why, Reverend, it seems that the more truth that you tell, there is no one who's more capable of telling the American people. And I pray you never change anything about you. And I thank God you don't listen to people tell you about what you ought to go and this and that and all the rest of it. Because the thing I admire about you, Reverend, and I'm not blowing smoke, because you know how far back you and I go. But I never will forget the individual who I now can say, not only is he a minister, not only is he a father, not only does he embrace his culture, not only is he of the people, because you don't change no matter where you are, and more importantly, he's a hell of a journalist. I saw you change into a hell of a journalist. I've heard you speak of man in the way it should be spoken, as any principled individual, and I hope that you would be a mentor to all of those who say they believe in God and then forget what it's all about when the money hit the table. I love you, Reverend Sharpton.
Love you. Thank you.
And I mean that part.
I believe that, and I know that. I depend on the real road runners like you. Thank you for your call. You know, there is something, Reverend Byrd, about the race isn't given to the swift, nor to the strong, but those that can endure to the end. Something about endurance that in and of itself ought to be the goal, is holding out, not being the fastest runner, but the one that can make it to the end of the race.
That's right. And Reverend, and I've heard you talk about this for some time. When you look at the life and career of Reverend Jesse Jackson, and look at your life and career over consecutive decades, it really is a matter of endurance. Who can last? Who can stay in the furnace the longest? You go back. Biblical narrative talks about that. When Nebuchadnezzar threw those 3 Hebrew boys in the furnace, though it was hot in there, they could stay in there because they were not in there alone. There was a fourth man in there with them, and I think that's the beauty of those who are committed to civil rights work, as you and Reverend Jackson have been, that you've been able to endure because there's been a hand guiding you, guiding your works, guiding your thoughts, guiding your words, keeping hurt, harm, and danger away from you. And I've seen over the years, I won't call any names, but I've seen, upstart activists get started on a project and then they disappear off the scene. But the beauty of continuity in a movement is that you're constantly focused on the end goal, and you're willing to endure, you're willing to bear the pain, willing to bear your burden in the heat of the day, because beyond this one moment, there is a movement. Movements are a grouping of moments at a time, not just one moment. So it's a beautiful thing to endure, and certainly in your career, and most certainly in Reverend Jesse Jackson's career, you see endurance personified and endurance on dress parade.
And I think that's clear. Let's go to Sly in Detroit, Michigan. Sly.
Good afternoon, Reverend Al. Thank you for taking my call. How's your day?
Doing well, doing well.
Good. Hey, I'll start out by saying, run, Jesse Jr., run. Happy birthday to the senior, Jesse Jackson. Condolences to the family of the godfather of gospel. And yes, we did. We lost Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick last night.
Yeah, 80 years old. Yeah, beautiful woman.
Absolutely. And I don't want to drag another black person, but I can give you a laundry list of how. I'll just say if Kwame Kilpatrick was half as good as his mother, I think the city of Detroit would be in much better shape than what it is right now. But unfortunately, you get some lightning rods come in with low voltage, and I'll just leave it there, and I'll talk to you Friday.
Wow, that's a drop the mic quote there. You say you leave it there. I got to go to commercial on that one. Wow, he dropped the mic on me. If I was getting weary, I'd snap my head back on that one, Sly. You got to warn me when you're coming with one of them bombs. Wow. All right, let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Shopton and Sly. We'll be right back.
Church, I want to present to you a man of God, a man of his community, the Reverend Howard Hundley.
Together. Yes, I am. Trouble don't last always. I'm so glad. Yes, I am. Trouble don't last always. Can I get a witness? I'm so glad. Trouble don't last always.
I got a Tony.
You got it? My daughter won a Tony Award.
That's crazy.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, National Action Network. He just came in here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice. So I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
This way it all starts.
How are you?
Highly favored. Highly favored.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Love you.
Over your house.
All right, man.
Reverend Al Stockton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton. Thing past hope, because I grew up, like I said, single mama on welfare, and my mother told me there's a part in life that hope's gonna run out, but she told me you got a double barrel in your engine. I said, what is that? She said you can switch from hope to faith. Faith is a little deeper than hope. Bishop Hilly is here. Faith is when hope runs out. Faith is the substance of things. Hope for the evidence of things not seen. Faith is when we were emancipated after 246 years of slavery and walked off the plantations with no education, no money, no future. And we built black churches and black colleges and black fraternities. We had faith. Faith made us stand up to the most powerful nation in the world and turn it around. Faith means we went from the back of the bus to the front of the White House. We come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He never failed us yet.
You live, Rev?
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Malcolm Byrd is sitting in with us right here at National Action Network Corporate Headquarters. Don't forget, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday and Sundays. 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm stacking up the guests already. We got to deal with these robbery of the civil and human rights of people in Chicago with this lockdown as well with the federal workers, members of the Senate, members of the Congress. I want them on, governors, I'm booking them. Make sure you don't miss the show. I mean, the idea of them now saying, well, we know this is Trump folks, they may not get paid,
for their back salaries when it's over. So it's bad enough you have no income coming in. Now they're going to tell you, and you won't get it later either. And we don't know how long we're going to shut down. All because they want to let the Affordable Care Act run out and not restore it, which would automatically knock 11 million people off of Medicare right then like that. That's what this battle's about. So make sure you watch Politics Nation. You in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me at the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. And, of course, you that are not in New York, live on Impact Television, the only national black-owned black gospel network in the country. And, of course, you that can also watch it on nationalactionnetwork.net live stream on Saturday mornings. Let's go back to the phone. Reverend Bird. Fred in Milwaukee. Fred, you're keeping it real with Chopton and Bird.
Hey, good afternoon to you, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Just a couple of comments. One, the first one, I want to say, as far as the message of the president and sending troops to Chicago, well, there's a Major League Baseball game going there today. There's thousands of people traveling to Chicago. There's no fear. There's nothing going on. Second, I wanted to say, as far as for the Democrats, and because, sometimes our people, we don't read certain things, need to publish if they haven't done so, because I know you do your job, but point out, show it, bombard social media, whatever, with the bill showing how it's going to eliminate health care. And then for years, the Republicans have been talking about they're going to do a plan. We have never seen a plan whatsoever from them as far as something better or something that's adjusted. And then the last thing I want to say is regarding Project 25. And I'm just curious if if anybody looked into the people that contribute to writing it. There's dozens of people, former military command staff. There's former White House aides from Republicans that are all part of this. I mean, I look at Trump as the figurehead, the pit bull they're going to put out there. But these are the people that need to be exposed as far as what they're doing behind the scenes to, make this world terrible for people of color and, that don't agree with them. So,
very good point.
Those are my
Very good point. Thank you for your call, Fred. Let me go to Mr. Wells in Metaverse. Mr. Wells, you're on with Sharpton and Bird.
How you doing, Reverend Sharpton, Mr. Bird?
Hey, brother. Doing fine.
Quick question here. Have you looked at Arizona District 7, the lady who won the special election last month?
Yeah, she was on Politics Nation 2 weeks ago. Yes, I looked at that.
Okay. And you've compared that district to where the House of Hope would vote in 13th in New York with Mr. Adriano Espaillat. You've met this gentleman, right?
Who? Espaillat?
Yeah, Adriano. He represents.
Espaillat was on Politics Nation last week, and he comes to the House of Justice often. We are in his district.
They're correct. So you're aware of this thing that people are saying about the Mr. Johnson won't swear in because of the Epstein vote, and I haven't heard anything about comparing what she says on her page, because just so people know, her father had lung cancer and passed away is how she got there. It was a special election. Her father was in that district. It is for those who are not, it is a border district to Mexico. It runs along that Arizona border. For the people out there, well, who is this lady? It's the Arizona border with Mexico. So this thing about Epstein and whatever, I would hope people be fair and go and look to be very much informed about who the person's coming in. And Johnson's saying we need to have a regular session of the House. He did some pro forma stuff to be aware that, wait a minute, so you guys are saying we support her because she's going to force a vote on Epstein? That's quite myopic about what the country needs about some Epstein files as opposed to everything else.
Well, isn't it quite myopic to not swear in a newly elected person when he's done that with others that win special elections? He is. He is in effect. He did it twice this year. But the decision is to say to that district that you quoted that they can go without representation until he calls the House back, when he could have sworn her in at any point before the House was gone. Or he does not need the House in session to do a swearing in. He's the Speaker.
She has been elected less than 30 days.
I don't care if she was elected less than 3 days.
You can say you don't care all you want.
I did say it, and I'll repeat it. He does not need the House in session. Wait a minute. Oh, you getting ready to say, talk to the wall. I let you talk. You're going to let me talk. He does not need to wait for the House in session. And he has done it twice this year. So talking about being myopic about Epstein, I'm not even talking about Epstein. I'm talking about the woman won a special election, and you should not leave the people in that district that made that decision without an elected member of Congress that they voted for, period.
Allow me to respond. The people who have said why he won't do this because of Epstein's file.
I don't.
So
well, you call those
honest.
people's show.
You can
call
say
those
you don't care all
people's
you
show.
want.
Call those people's show. Don't. No. Don't play games with me. Bye. I mean, you gonna tell me what somebody else said and want me to defend with somebody? I told you why I objected to it. So call those people's show that talked about Epstein. I'm talking about you are taking away people's democratic vote. They gave you the wrong talking point on the wrong show. Let's go to Mike in North Carolina. Mike.
Yikes.
I mean, that's crazy. He gonna tell me why I want somebody sworn in. Wow. And tell me what a Democrat. I'm not the Democrats. I'm Al Sharpton. I want the woman sworn in because she won the election. Period.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Two things. The first thing, real quick, is I know you know Hakeem Jeffries well. Tell that brother to stand strong on this issue with against opening up the government until the Republicans want to play at least negotiate on this, because he did hurt us and lost a lot of credibility. I still support him, but he lost a lot of credibility with us on the Charlie Kirk thing. So that's one. I just want him to know he got to stand strong on that. The other thing is, I've heard the topic of music come up several times in the last couple of hours, and I forgive me, I did not see the Triumph Awards this year yet. I'm gonna go back and watch it. But if you don't have a category, I would suggest that the Triumph Awards and whatever awards we can get, we need to have more representation of the of the good that's going on in hip hop. We all know that there's ratchet stuff out there. There's a lot of cursing, there's this, that, and the other. But there are artists that are secular that don't cuss a lot. Then there are artists that Christian hip hop, which is really advanced. The Christian hip hop scene is just awesome right now, and they don't get that love. They don't get that light when they are doing the right thing. We still gravitate to the ones that are doing the wrong thing. And if y'all don't know who it is, anybody that still loves hip hop, I'm in my 50s. I still love hip hop. Look at D1. Look at Forrest Frank. Look at No Big Deal. Look at the Indie Tribe. There's a bunch of Christian artists that are making hip hop that's just as good or better as any of these people.
Well, let me just say that
I agree with him, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I totally agree as well. The purpose of the Triumph Awards, as in any platform with the National Action Network, is to commit ourselves to supporting individuals who are unapologetically committed to the movement, the fight for liberation, human liberation and dignity for individuals. So I would say we're certainly open to knowing who those artists are. Show me where those artists are who are doing the work of civil rights for our people. And I'm sure if someone lets us know where they are,
there are a couple of those artists I've heard of. We honored this year. I'm glad that he said he's going to watch the awards. We honored this year in the gospel field Vincent Bohannon, who's not a gospel rap artist, but he's a major gospel artist. We always honor gospel artists, and I think he's right. We can honor one of the gospel hip-hop artists either at the convention in April or the next. Why do people think they can just keep talking while I'm talking? Is something out there going on? Was I not just talking?
Indeed.
So we could either do it next year at Triumph Award or do it at the convention. Now go ahead.
Sorry about that, Ray. I'm sorry. I'm not sure about the civil rights aspect of this. But I know, like the first rapper D1 that I pointed out, he had a controversy that was going on because he was literally calling rappers name by name to tell them, y'all are trying to do thing you're doing right, and then you represent the street right behind it. He got in the
I remember that was there was a lot of social media on D1 about that, and he was right. He condemned their behavior, which I do consider civil rights.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you're doing the right thing. I'm going to take that suggestion. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for your call. Let me thank all the callers. And when I cut people off, when they cut me off, y'all know I got a birthday Friday. I'm getting older. I don't take what I used to take. Don't be just calling up in there acting like I ain't sitting here now. Y'all don't do the other shows. So respect the old man. Let me thank Reverend Malcolm Bird. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Breaking news. The issues, the stories affecting you. Now here's the news from News1.com.
It's Sybil Wilkes.